Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be a little bit different because I will be sewing and it will be a voiceover. So please join me in the process of me making last minute pot holders for the Easter dinner I was holding the next day. Yes, this video is about a month old. This is not going to be a tutorial. It is literally just me explaining how I am making these. And in this clip and the previous clips, I am just getting all of my fabric prepared so I can kind of just get these sewn together quickly. Here I am sorting my batting, my fabric, and the Insul-bright, kind of deciding which pot holders I want to be a little more heavy duty. Once I have all of the pieces organized, I do my quality control. Here, I will just be removing any pieces of rogue thread, rogue lint, rogue pieces of fabric. It is not necessary at all because nobody will see the inside of these pot holders, but it's just kind of for the peace of mind because in the back of my head, I will know what is in there and I will know what is sandwiched in between, and I want nothing. I want them to be perfect, you know, as if they weren't last minute. I also pinned the fabric and the batting together prior to quilting just to ensure that my fabric did not move any which way. As you can see here, I did run out of Insul-bright, and because this was so last minute, I did not have the time to run back out to Fabricland and get me some more Insul-bright, so I made do with what I had. If anything, this black pot holder you see now is the only pot holder I would not be comfortable with placing a hot pot right off the burner on it because it is just two pieces of the thinner batting. But it did turn out. I do put warm things on it and it does work as intended. I do not remember why I was using clips here for these pieces. I can only assume it was because of the direction I planned on quilting this pot holder, but it is what it is. And despite me wanting to make these pot holders as quickly as I could, I did decide to bind this pot holder. The yellow pot holder, I decided to kind of quilt diagonally. I did want to quilt them in both directions, but I kind of got sick and freaking tired of quilting, if I can be completely honest with you. It's not my favorite thing to do. I do not have chalk. I only have a marker. So if I were to draw the lines on instead of taping, I would have had to wash these and, you know, pray that the marker came out in the first wash. But yeah, I am just using some tape here, some painter's tape. It comes off easily. I do not find that it leaves any sticky residue on the fabric. The only issue I really have with it is sometimes it will stick to my sewing machine. As you can see, it does hang off of the pot holder, so if I am not careful, it will stick and kind of just hold on to my sewing machine. Because in the beginning, I did cut each pot holder about half an inch bigger than what I wanted it to be, I did go back with all the pot holders and I actually trimmed them down and squared them up pretty perfectly. Here you can see me attaching one of the tabs to the pot holders. I clipped the tab on and then decided to pin the rest of the pot holder to make sure there was absolutely no wandering fabric. Here I decided to kind of switch up the quilting lines. I decided to go up and down instead of diagonal. Still did not like quilting it. Dang, it's a lot of stitching. A lot of detail. I did, despite me making these last minute, I did my darndest to pay very much so a lot of attention to detail, just so when I had to finally construct these things, that it would be super easy for me to do. And here I kind of just gave up on quilting because I wanted to get these done so fast. So I only quilted an X onto both of these casserole dish pot holders, the longer ones. And I honestly love how both of them turned out. With this brown pot holder, I did sandwich 2 pieces of Insul-bright between the like brown floral fabric, and I loved how that turned out. This is the tab for the brown pot holder, but I did not attach it because quite frankly I forgot. Plus I was binding this one and I did not really want to fight with attaching it. And here it looks like I am mid-stitch for the like polka dot pot holder. As you can see, I do use my little snipping scissors to push through any bulk. I did that for the pot holders, and I do it just any other time I sew, so I'm not using my fingers, although I will admit I do use my fingers often. I am probably using about a 1/4 inch seam allowance here, just because I wasn't quite sure if I cut the fabric for the casserole pot holders long enough, or if they would be too small for my casserole dishes. I can say they did fit. Here I am snipping the corners to remove any bulk. I did not cut into the stitch, but I did cut fairly close. I suppose I also did decide to flip it here, as you can see me struggling.
Oh my god, what the fuck? Did I need to leave a bigger hole? To be truthful.
I poked out the corners of this pot holder and all of the other ones that I sewed together this way. I don't remember if I mentioned that or not, just for a nice squared up finish. Before I sewed it, I did take it to my ironing board and pressed it. I made sure the opening was nice and flush against each other, and then also gave the rest of the pot holder a nice press so it squared it up nicely for top stitching, as you can see me doing here. I believe this is a 1/4 inch top stitch I am doing. I would also like to add, although I'm sure it is obvious, this video is sped up 2 times. So I am not pitting this fast. I am not sewing this fast. I am not cutting this fast. In real life, I am sewing quite slow. For example, as you see, I do go over a lot of the needles, not that one, but a lot of the needles I do sew over, and that's just what I do. But although I am sewing over those needles, I am watching the needle in my machine to make sure it, hits just over the little ball head needle. I do know it's kind of like, I don't want to say a safety hazard, but there are obviously issues that could arise if you were to hit that needle in the wrong position, and it could go flying up and hit your eyeballs. But I do work very slowly, I do work very cautiously, and that has not happened to me yet. Knock on wood. And as you can clearly see with me struggling, I, again, did not leave big enough of an opening to turn this pot holder inside out, but I figured I would just leave it in the video to show that it happens. And then again, I am poking out the corners with my chopstick to give it a more squared look. And then I will take it to the sewing machine, press it closed nicely, and take it to be top stitched. I'm back again. I also just wanted to add with the tabs, I did not put them in the corner because I figured that would be way too much fabric. I did it probably 1/4 of an inch away from the corner, and yeah, I didn't really have an issue with sewing them. Obviously there will be bulk where it is, but my sewing machine handled it just fine. On some of them I did go back and reverse stitch on the tab just to ensure it did not pop out for whatever reason it might do so. Admittedly, I did leave the brown floral casserole dish heat pad for last because I didn't think I would get it finished that night. But I did, surprisingly. I think it was because of the attention to detail and how I made sure that it was all squared up before attaching it. I will say though, I did cheat a little bit. This was pre-made double fold bias tape. If you would like a tutorial on how I made these, please let me know in the comments below.